The village of Keboko and the daughters of fate. The village of Keboko. Nestled between rolling hills and wide-open plains, the village of Keboko was a place of abundance. The rivers flowed clear and full, carrying fish and water to the people, while the fields yielded rich harvests of maize, yams, and cassava. Keboko's people were simple and hardworking, waking with the sun to tend to their farms and returning home at dusk to share stories around the fire. But while Keboko thrived in peace, it was also surrounded by mysteries. Beyond the fertile lands, at the edge of the village, lay the mystic river, a body of water unlike any other. The villagers believed it was enchanted, whispering tales of strange voices carried on the wind and unseen eyes watching from beneath its surface. Even deeper lay the Shadow Grove, a forbidden forest shrouded in eternal twilight, where no human dared to step foot. The elders warned that this was the hidden kingdom of the Serpents, a realm ruled by creatures far older than mankind. The few who wandered too close never returned, and those who did whispered of giant serpents who could speak like men, with eyes that gleamed like molten gold. But these warnings meant little to the two most admired women in the village, Maya and Naya. The daughters of fate. Maya and Naya were the pride of Keboko. Tall and graceful, with skin as smooth as river stone and hair that cascaded down their backs like black silk, the sisters were sought after by every man in the village. Their beauty was the subject of many conversations, and their presence at the marketplace would cause whispers and envious glances from others. But they were not easily impressed. "No man here is good enough for us," Maya would say as she admired her reflection in the waters of the mystic river. "We will not settle for farmers and hunters," Naya would add, flipping her long braids over her shoulder. "We deserve men of wealth, power, and status." The young men of Keboko tried, of course. They brought the sisters gifts, golden trinkets from passing traders, the sweetest fruits, even hand-carved statues of them in tribute. But Maya and Naya only laughed, turning away each suitor with ease. Their friend Zola, however, was different. Unlike Maya and Naya, Zola did not dream of wealth or power. She was not known for her beauty but for her kindness. While Maya and Naya spoke of riches, Zola spoke of finding a man with a kind heart, someone who would share his life with her, not just his possessions. When a simple farmer named Jabari asked for Zola's hand, she accepted with a smile. "A good man is worth more than all the gold in the world," she told her friends. Maya and Naya only shook their heads in pity. "You could have done better," Maya said. Zola only smiled. "You will learn one day that love is worth more than treasure." But Maya and Naya had already decided. They would marry only the richest, most powerful men in the world. The restless serpents of the Shadow Grove. Far beyond the village, hidden deep within the Shadow Grove, two powerful beings stirred. Rezi and Sephiu, the serpent brothers, coiled atop a stone altar, their golden eyes burning like twin suns. They were no ordinary snakes, they were creatures of magic, the most feared beings of their kind. Unlike the other serpents, who were content in their kingdom, Rezi and Sephiu were hungry for more. "I am tired of the shadows," Rezi hissed, his long body twisting restlessly. "Why should we remain hidden when there is a world beyond the trees?" Sephiu nodded, his massive form tightening into a coil. "The humans live freely, while we skulk in the darkness. And they have women, beautiful women." A low growl echoed from deep within Rezi's throat. Human women. For years, they had watched the village of Keboko from the shadows, drawn to its people, to its warmth. And most of all, they had watched Maya and Naya, the daughters of fate, whose beauty had reached even their ears. "I want one for myself," Rezi said. Sephiu flicked his tongue. "Then let us take them." But it was not so simple. Though they were powerful, they were still snakes. No human woman would willingly take a serpent as a husband. If they wanted Maya and Naya, they would need to become like the men they envied. And there was only one being who could grant them such power. The Serpent Oracle's Bargain. The Serpent brothers slithered through the depth of the shadow grove until they reached the heart of the forest, where the Serpent Oracle lay in waiting. The oracle was ancient, a colossal, otherworldly snake whose scales shimmered with magic, its body coiled around a stone throne. Its golden eyes bored into them as they approached, sensing their greed, their hunger. "We seek your power," Rezi said, bowing his head. "We wish to walk among men," Sefu added. The oracle regarded them in silence before speaking, its voice a whisper that slithered through the air like a living thing. "You wish for the forms of men, but you will always be what you are, creatures of the shadow." Rezi lifted his head, his eyes burning with determination. "We will do whatever it takes." The oracle chuckled, a deep, unsettling sound. "Then listen well." With a flick of its tail, the oracle wove a spell, a magic so old that even the wind seemed to hold its breath. The air crackled, and the Serpent brothers felt their bodies shift, stretch, and break apart, until their scales melted into skin, and their long, sinuous forms were reshaped into two tall, powerful men. When they opened their eyes, they saw not snakes, but human reflections staring back at them. Handsome, strong, indistinguishable from the men of Keboko. But there was a price. "You may live as men," the oracle warned. "You may take human brides, live among them, and taste their world. But your firstborn children will not belong to you." Rezi and Sefi frowned. "What do you mean?" The oracle's eyes gleamed. "Your children will belong to the Serpent Kingdom. When they are born, they will be ours." A heavy silence followed. But the Serpent brothers had already made up their minds. They had waited too long for this chance. "We accept," Rezi said. The oracle hissed in satisfaction. "Then go. Your fates are sealed." And with that, the brothers, now in their new human forms, turned toward Keboko, toward Maya and Naya, toward the lives they would steal, and the destinies they would forever change. A mysterious arrival. The next morning, as the sun rose over Keboko, two strangers entered the village. Tall, with broad shoulders and chiseled faces, their eyes held the glow of distant lands. Their clothes were rich, their movements effortless, their voices smooth as flowing water. Maya and Naya, who had always dreamed of powerful, wealthy husbands, felt their hearts leap at the sight of them. "Who are they?" Naya whispered. Maya smiled, her eyes gleaming with interest. "They are exactly what we have been waiting for." The Serpent brothers had arrived. And Keboko would never be the same again. The enchanted strangers and the proposer. The sun shimmered over the mystic river, its waters reflecting golden ripples that danced with the wind. Maya and Naya stood at the edge, admiring their reflections as they often did, laughing at their own beauty and talking about the kind of lives they wished for, lives filled with adventure, wealth, and powerful husbands. That was when they saw them. Two tall, regal-looking men, draped in elegant robes of deep blue and crimson, emerged from the trees. Their skin was smooth, their eyes impossibly sharp, and their presence commanded the air around them. The sisters stopped mid-laughter, their hearts skipping a beat. "Greetings, beautiful ones," the taller of the two said, his voice rich like honey. "I am Rezi, and this is my brother, Sefu. We have traveled from distant lands in search of something rare." Naya arched an eyebrow, feigning disinterest. "And what is it that you seek?" Rezi smiled, his golden eyes locking onto hers. "A beauty unlike any other. And it seems we have found it." Maya felt a warmth rush through her. These men were not like the ordinary villagers they had grown tired of. Their wealth, their confidence, it was exactly what she and Naya had been waiting for. A strange display of power. As they stood near the water's edge, Maya stepped forward, intending to greet Rezi properly. But just as she moved, her foot slipped against a jagged stone, cutting her ankle. She gasped, stumbling backward. Before she could react, Rezi was already beside her, kneeling in the sand and reaching for her wand. "Let me help you," he said. Maya watched in stunned silence as he pressed his warm hand over her ankle. A soft, golden light flickered from beneath his palm, and within seconds, the pain faded. When he lifted his hand, the wound was completely gone. Naya gasped. That was impossible. Sefiu only smiled. "In our homeland, we are blessed with the gift of healing. It is the way of our ancestors." Maya touched her ankle, disbelief spreading across her face. "You are gifted." Rezi nodded, standing gracefully. "And we are here because fate has led us to you." Naya and Maya exchanged glances. Everything about these men was mysterious, powerful, and alluring. And for the first time, they felt that maybe, just maybe, their dreams were coming true. Zola's suspicion. When Maya and Naya returned to the village, Zola noticed the change immediately. They were distracted, speaking in hushed whispers and smiling to themselves as if enchanted. When Zola asked what had happened, Naya simply brushed her off with a wave of her hand. "We met men," she said, grinning. "Not just any men, strangers from far-off lands, wealthy and powerful." Maya sighed dreamily. "And one of them healed me with his hands. Just like that. It was like magic." Zola's stomach twisted uneasily. Magic. A man who could heal with a touch. That wasn't natural. "Something is not right," Zola muttered. "Men don't just appear out of nowhere with powers like that." But Maya laughed. "You're just jealous, Zola. You married a simple farmer while we are about to marry kings." Zola fell silent, knowing there was no convincing them. But deep inside, a dark feeling settled over her. Something was wrong. She just didn't know what. A warning from the elders. When the news of the stranger spread, the elders of Keboko gathered in concern. "There is something unnatural about this," Elder Lumo, the wisest among them, said. "Men do not simply appear with such gifts. There is a story in our past, one of the Mystic River and the Shadow Grove." The elders recalled ancient warnings about beings that lived beyond the village, creatures that took the shape of men to deceive and steal. "Tell the girls not to marry these men," Elder Lumo urged. "We must be cautious." But when Maya and Naya were told, they only laughed. "The elders are old and afraid of change," Maya said. "We have found the kind of men we have always dreamed of." And just like that, their fate was sealed. The grandest wedding in Keboko's history. Maya and Naya had always imagined a wedding fit for queens. But nothing could have prepared them for the extravagance that Rezi and Sefiu brought to Keboko. From the moment the preparations began, the village was stunned by the riches the strangers possessed. Silk cloths from distant lands lined the paths. Gold jewelry was gifted to the villagers as a sign of goodwill. The feast included delicacies that no one had ever tasted before. The people of Keboko, despite their initial wariness, could not help but be mesmerized. Even Zola, standing at the edge of the crowd, felt herself second-guessing her fears. Could she have been wrong? On the day of the wedding, Maya and Naya stood dressed in the finest robes, their heads adorned with golden crowns. "This is everything we wanted," Naya whispered. Maya smiled, gazing at Rezi. "And it's only the beginning." But in the depths of the Shadow Grove, a great serpent watched from the darkness, its golden eyes glowing in the night. It knew the truth. And it knew what was coming. A new life, a dark secret. After the wedding, Maya and Naya were given new homes on the edge of the village, grander than any others in Keboko. Days passed in luxury. Their husbands showered them with jewelry, music, and comforts beyond imagination. But then, the dreams began. At first, they were distant whispers, strange hissing voices calling their names in the dark. Then, they became more vivid. Maya dreamed of a great serpent coiling around her, whispering, "You carry the child of the kingdom." Naya saw herself in the mystic river, but her reflection had golden snake eyes staring back at her. They woke up sweating, their hearts racing. Something was changing inside them. And deep within the shadow grove, Rezi and Sephiu stood before the serpent oracle once more. "The time is coming," the oracle hissed. "Your wives carry the future of the serpent kingdom." Rezi and Sephiu bowed their heads. They had gotten what they wanted. And soon, the village of Kiboko would pay the price. An unsettling change. The village of Kiboko had never known such a time of prosperity. Ever since the grand wedding of Maya and Naya, wealth flowed like the mystic river. Their homes, standing at the edge of the village, were unlike anything Kiboko had ever seen, adorned with shimmering silks, golden ornaments, and delicacies from distant lands. But as weeks passed, something strange began to happen. Maya and Naya, once full of energy, moved slower each day. Their laughter, which once filled the village, grew faint and distant. Their skin, once glowing like the morning sun, became unnaturally cold to the touch. The villagers whispered among themselves. "Pregnancy is difficult," some said. "They are carrying royal children." But others noticed something far more troubling. Elder Tmu, the village's oldest and wisest man, watched with a troubled heart. "Something is wrong," he murmured to himself. "A great darkness has come upon them." Meanwhile, within their grand homes, Rezi and Sephiu grew restless. The serpent oracle's warning. One night, as the storm clouds rolled over Kiboko, Rezi and Sephiu stood beneath the flickering firelight of their chambers, speaking in hushed tones. "The time is close," Sephiu hissed, pacing the room. "I can feel it. The oracle will come for them soon." Rezi clenched his fist. "We knew this would happen. The bargain was made." Sephiu's golden eyes flickered. "But they do not know the truth." At that moment, neither brother realized they were being watched. Zola, who had been worried for Maya and Naya, had come to check on them. But as she passed by the open window of Rezi's home, the sound of their conversation froze her in place. She had never heard such a language before, a sound not of men, but of creatures older than time. It was the language of the serpents. Zola clapped a hand over her mouth to stifle a gasp. Her worst fears had come true. The men Maya and Naya had married were not men at all. Zola's desperate warning. The storm raged through the night, the winds howling through Kiboko like a beast let loose from the shadows. Zola wasted no time, she rushed through the rain, pounding on Maya's door. "Maya! Naya! Open up!" A moment later, the door creaked open, revealing Maya, her once radiant face pale and distant. "Zola," she murmured, blinking through the dim light. Zola pushed her way inside and grabbed both sisters by the hands. "I know the truth," she said, her voice urgent. "Your husbands are not who they claim to be. I heard them speaking, they are not men. They are snakes." Naya scoffed, pulling her hand away. "This again. Zola, enough. Just because you chose a simple life doesn't mean we did." Zola's eyes burned with frustration. "Listen to me. I heard them speaking in tongues no human should know. There is a reason you feel weak, a reason your skin has gone cold. This is not normal. This is not human." Maya hesitated for a moment, a flicker of fear in her eyes. But before she could speak, Naya shook her head. "You're just jealous, Zola." "Jealous?" Zola hissed. "Do you think I envy you? I would rather live a humble life with a man I love than carry a monster's child." At that, Maya gasped, placing a protective hand over her stomach. "How dare you?" Zola's heart ached, but she knew the truth. "You need to leave them. Now. Before it's too late." But Maya and Naya refused to listen. And Zola knew that their fates had already been decided. The village grows uneasy. As the days passed, Maya and Naya's conditions worsened. Their bellies swelled unnaturally, and their once graceful movements became slow and heavy, as though carrying more than just children. The villagers, who once celebrated their marriages, began to fear them. Whispers spread. "Did you see them today? Their eyes, there was something strange about them. The air around them feels colder. Something unnatural is growing within them." Even Elder TMU, who rarely involved himself in rumors, grew deeply troubled. Summoning Zola, he spoke in a low and grave voice. "Tell me everything you know, child." And so, Zola did. She told him everything, about the strangers, the whispers in the night, and the terrible truth she had uncovered. When she was finished, Elder TMU closed his eyes. "We have been cursed." His words carried the weight of generations, for he had heard tales of this before. "A great darkness has entered our land. These men, these creatures, they have stolen our daughters and placed their seed within them." Zola swallowed. "What can we do?" Elder TMU exhaled. "Nothing. The prophecy has begun. And we are too late to stop it." The truth is revealed. That night, as Maya and Naya lay resting, their husbands entered their chambers in silence. Rezi and Sephiu, knowing there was no more hiding, knelt beside their wives. Maya stirred, her tired eyes opening slightly. "Rezi." Naya mumbled sleepily. "What is it?" Rezi took a deep breath. "There is something we must tell you." Naya groaned. "Whatever it is, it can wait." "No," Sephi interrupted. "It cannot." And as the storm outside roared, the brothers finally spoke the words that would break their wives' hearts. "We are not men." Maya and Naya sat up suddenly, their eyes wide with confusion. "What are you talking about?" Maya whispered. Rezi sighed, closing his eyes. "We were born not of flesh, but of scales." Sephiu's gaze darkened. "We are of the Serpent kingdom. And the children you carry, they belong to them." Silence. A silence so thick that even the storm outside seemed to hush itself. Then, a single, shattering scream. Maya and Naya scrambled backward, their hands clutching at their bellies as though to protect the unborn children from the horrors that had created them. "No, no, this isn't real," Maya's voice trembled. "You're lying." Naya, shaking violently, gasped for breath. "Tell me this is a joke, Sephiu." But their husbands only looked at them with sorrow. "We did not want you to find out this way," Rezi murmured. "But the truth cannot be hidden any longer." Maya sobbed, gripping her stomach. What will happen to our babies?" Sephiu's voice was soft, but firm. "When they are born, they will belong to the Serpent kingdom." Naya screamed, thrashing like a caged animal. "No. You can't take my child." But it was too late. The prophecy had already begun. And as the night stretched on, the storm outside raged louder than ever before. A blood-red moon rises. The air in Keboko was thick with unease. Even the elders, who had seen many seasons of change, had never felt a night like this one. Above them, the moon glowed red, casting an eerie light upon the village. The rivers, once calm and peaceful, raged violently, their water swelling as though alive with fury. Inside the grand homes of Maya and Naya, the air was thick with screams. "It's time," Zola whispered, clutching Elder TMU's arm as they stood outside. The wind howled, shaking the trees to their roots. The very earth trembled beneath their feet. And then, the first cry rang out, a sound that sent shivers down the spine of every villager. Children born of two worlds. Inside Maya's home, her face twisted in pain as she clutched the baby in her arms. The room was dimly lit, the flames of the lanterns flickering violently as though afraid of the life that had just been brought into the world. She dared not look at the child at first. But when she finally did, her breath caught in her throat. The baby was not fully human. Its eyes glowed golden, much like Raisy's, their unnatural brightness piercing through the shadows. Its skin was impossibly smooth, neither warm nor cold, but carrying a strange shimmer, as though kissed by moonlight. Its tiny fingers twitched, curling slightly as though testing the air. Then, the baby opened its mouth, and let out a wail unlike any other. It was not the cry of a human infant. It was something else. Something ancient. Something that did not belong to this world. Maya clutched the child tighter, her heart pounding. Across the village, Naya's screams echoed into the night. She, too, had given birth. And the village would never be the same again. The Serpent Oracle appears. The moment the second cry rang out, the world seemed to hold its breath. Then, the ground trembled violently. The mystic river, already swollen from the storm, roared as waves crashed violently upon its banks. The air grew thick, suffocating, as a shadow descended upon Keboko. And then, it appeared. A giant spectral cobra, larger than any creature the villagers had ever seen, slithered from the darkness, its translucent body flickering like a ghostly flame. Its eyes burned with an unholy golden light, mirroring the eyes of the newborns. It lifted its head high, towering above the tallest trees, its voice like 1,000 whispers echoing through the wind. The time has come, it declared, its voice rattling through the bones of everyone in the village. These children belong to the Serpent Kingdom. Maya and Naya screamed, clutching their infants close. No. Maya sobbed. You cannot take them. The villagers, who had once celebrated the stranger's arrival, now watched in horror as the truth unfolded before them. And then, Razy and Sephiu stepped forward. The Snake Brothers revealed their true forms. As the Serpent Oracle loomed over the village, Razy and Sephiu closed their eyes. Their human disguises began to crumble. Their skin rippled like water. Their fingers melted into scales. Their eyes glowed brighter, the golden hue intensifying until it consumed them completely. And then, they were no longer men. Before the stunned villagers, two massive serpents stood, their bodies coiled and towering like living gods. The people of Keboko screamed in terror. Demons, someone cried. They have cursed us, another shouted. The warriors of Keboko, though terrified, grabbed their spears and shields. But Elder TMU raised a hand, his voice steady despite the chaos. Fools! No blade can pierce the flesh of an immortal beast. Maya, shaking uncontrollably, held her baby close as Razy, still in his snake form, gazed at her. Give the child to me, Maya, he pleaded, his voice still filled with love. This is the way it must be. But Maya shook her head violently. Never. The power of the ancestors. Elder TMU, standing before the gathered villagers, lifted his staff high. He had seen this coming. He had known the moment Maya and Naya married the strangers that a great darkness had fallen upon them. But he would not let Keboko fall. Closing his eyes, he called upon the spirits of the ancestors. The ground shook beneath him, and suddenly, a great sandstorm arose from nowhere, howling like an angry beast. The dust and wind swirled violently, slamming into the Serpent Oracle and the Snake Brothers. Razy and Sephiu hissed in pain, their great bodies riding as the wind struck them with the force of 1,000 blows. The Serpent Oracle roared, its spectral form flickering as it struggled against the storm. The villagers watched in awe, the ancestors had answered their call. Naya's tragic fate. As the sandstorm raged, Naya's terror overcame her. Gripping her newborn in her arms, she turned and ran. But in her blind panic, she did not see where she was going. Her feet stumbled over the wet, uneven ground, and suddenly, she was falling. The raging mystic river swallowed her whole. The villagers screamed, but no one could reach her in time. The last thing they saw was Naya's desperate hands reaching for the surface before the river dragged her under. She was gone. Forever. Maya, watching helplessly, let out a heart-wrenching scream. Her sister was dead. But there was no time for grief. The serpent oracle was still there. And it was angry. The serpent's final warning. The sandstorm had weakened the oracle, but it had not defeated it. Its great golden eyes narrowed, and its voice shook the heavens. You have chosen defiance. The villagers held their breath. You have broken the bond between our worlds. The oracle's great form began to fade, but its final words left a curse upon the land. If the child is not given to us, Keboko will suffer a fate worse than death. And then, it was gone. The storm stopped. The dust settled. But Keboko was forever changed. Maya fell to her knees, cradling her newborn. Naya was gone. The snake brothers had vanished into the shadows. And the village, once thriving and full of joy, was now silent with dread. Because they all knew. The curse was only beginning. Mother's escape. Maya sat in the darkness of the sacred caves, clutching her newborn son to her chest. Her breath came in shallow gasps, her heart pounding. The walls of the cave were damp, the air thick with the scent of earth and stone. She could still hear the cries of the villagers, the shouts of anger and fear. They wanted her child. They wanted to offer him to the serpent oracle. But she would never let them take him. She ran her fingers over the baby's soft face, his golden eyes flickering in the dim light. He was no ordinary child, his very presence radiated something ancient, something powerful. Outside, the night was heavy with sorrow. Naya was gone. Taken by the river. Maya pressed her forehead against her child's. I will protect you, she whispered. No matter what it takes. Then, as if the very gods heard her, a loud crack of thunder split the sky. And the curse began. The curse of Keboko. The moment the serpent oracle had vanished, the people of Keboko had prayed that their suffering was over. But it had only just begun. First, the river dried up. The mystic river, which had once given the village life, now stood as nothing more than a cracked bed of stone. Without water, the crops began to wither, the fields turning brown beneath the burning sun. Then, sickness spread. Children grew weak, their bodies frail and covered in strange markings that resembled the scales of a serpent. No herb, no potion, no prayer could cure them. And soon, the deaths began. The once thriving village of Keboko was now a land of wailing mothers, starving families, and hopeless elders. The people searched for answers, but deep in their hearts, they already knew. This was no ordinary misfortune. This was the serpent's curse. Zola's desperate plea. Zola, once a simple woman, had become the village's only hope. Now a respected healer, she worked day and night, mixing potions, offering prayers, seeking guidance from the ancestors. But nothing worked. One evening, as she crushed dried herbs into a bowl, Elder TMU entered her hut, his expression heavy with sorrow. There is no cure, is there? He asked. Zola lowered her head. No. This is not a sickness of the body, Elder TMU. This is a curse of the soul. TMU exhaled, gripping his staff. Then we have only one choice. Zola looked up, dreading what she knew he would say. The child must be given to the oracle. Zola stood abruptly. No. He is just a child. And so were the ones who have died. TMU roared, slamming his staff against the ground. How many more must suffer before we act? Zola's hands shook. She knew the village was desperate. She knew they had lost too much. And she knew that soon, the people of Keboko would come for Maya and her son. The hunt for Maya. Word spread quickly. The warriors of Keboko, led by Elder TMU, prepared to track Maya down. She has fled to the sacred caves, a villager reported. She hides there with the cursed child. Armed with spears, torches, and hearts hardened by grief, the warriors set out into the night. Zola stood at the edge of the village, watching them leave. A tear slid down her cheek. Maya, run. But Maya had nowhere left to run. The Serpent Oracle returns. Maya heard the footsteps before she saw them. She pressed her back against the damp cave wall, her baby in her arms. The flames of torches flickered against the stone, shadows dancing wildly as the warriors of Keboko stepped inside. Elder TMU stepped forward, his voice low and filled with sorrow. Maya, give us the child. Maya shook her head violently. Never. The warriors raised their weapons. And then, the cave trembled. A gust of cold wind rushed through the air, snuffing out the torches in an instant. A deep, inhuman voice echoed through the cave. You have come to take what is mine. The warriors froze in terror. And from the shadows, the Serpent Oracle emerged once more. Its massive spectral body twisted around the stone walls, its golden eyes burning like fire. The time has come, it declared. The child will return to his true home. Maya tightened her hold on her son, her heart pounding. No. I will not let you take him. A deep hiss rumbled through the air, shaking the very walls of the cave. And then, a new voice spoke. Wait. Reizi's plea. The warriors gasped as another serpent appeared, Reizi. He was no longer in his human form, but even as a great snake, his voice held sadness and longing. Mighty Oracle, he said, bowing his head. There must be another way. The Oracle's golden eyes flickered. You dare defy me? I love her, Reizi said, turning toward Maya. I love them both. There must be another way. For a moment, silence filled the cave. Then, the Oracle laughed, a terrible, chilling sound. Love, it spat. Foolish snake. Love cannot change what has already been written. Maya, tears streaking her face, looked at Reizi with wide, pleading eyes. Help me, she whispered. Help me save our son. Reizi's great body trembled. He wanted to. He wanted to so badly. But the Oracle's power was absolute. And Maya knew it. So she made her choice. Maya's sacrifice. Maya stepped forward, lifting her chin with defiance. Take me instead. The cave fell silent. The Oracle tilted its massive head. You would give your life for the boy? Maya's hands tightened into fists. Yes. But leave him here. Let him live. Let him be raised among his people. The Oracle's golden eyes burned like fire. Then, slowly, it nodded. So be it. A gust of wind swept through the cave, wrapping around Maya like an invisible hand. She gasped, her body lifting from the ground, her hair swirling as the magic consumed her. Maya! Reizi roared, slithering forward, but it was too late. With one final cry, Maya's body vanished into golden light, her soul taken into the serpent realm. Her child, left behind. The Oracle's form began to fade, its voice echoing one last time. The debt is paid. The curse is lifted. And then, it was gone. The curse is broken, but the child is marked. As the Oracle disappeared, the earth stopped trembling. Far away, the rivers began to flow once more. The crops lifted their withered leaves, life returning to Keboko. But in the cave, there was only silence. Maya was gone. Her child, now alone. Elder TMU, Zola, and the warriors stood in awe and sorrow. Then, Zola stepped forward and picked up the baby. His golden eyes blinked up at her. The villagers had their leader's child. But he was still marked by the serpent's blood. And Keboko's fate was forever changed. A child of two worlds. The years passed like whispers in the wind, and the village of Keboko slowly began to heal. The rivers flowed once more, the crops flourished, and the terrible sickness that had gripped the land faded into memory. But not everything had been forgotten. The boy left behind by Maya, now named Teferi, grew into a young man unlike any other. The villagers had once feared him, whispering behind his back. The cursed child. The son of the serpent. He carries the blood of the monsters. But over time, their fear turned to awe. Teferi was no ordinary man. He could command the rivers, calling water from the dry ground with a mere touch. He could speak to animals, hearing their voices as clearly as if they were human. And most remarkably, he could heal. The sick, the injured, one touch from Teferi, and they were well again. The people of Keboko, who had once whispered in fear, now looked to him as their only hope. But Teferi, despite his power, was restless. Because in his dreams, he still saw her, his mother, Maya. And he knew she was waiting for him. The prophecy of Elder Tiemu. One evening, as Teferi stood at the banks of the mystic river, Elder Tiemu approached him. The old man had grown frail, his hair now silver, but his eyes still held the wisdom of the ages. You have become powerful, Teferi, the elder said. But your journey is not yet complete. Teferi turned to him. What do you mean? Elder Tiemu took a deep breath. Your mother's soul still lies in the Serpent Kingdom. A cold wind blew through the trees. To restore true balance, you must go to them. You must return to the Shadow Grove and face your father. Teferi clenched his fist. Rezi. The father he had never met. The serpent who had stolen his mother away. He exhaled. If I go, I may not return. Elder Tiemu nodded solemnly. That is true. But if you do not go, your mother will never be free. Teferi closed his eyes. He had always known that one day, this moment would come. Then I will go. Into the Shadow Grove. Teferi did not go alone. Zola, now an elder and a powerful healer, insisted on accompanying him. You may have the blood of a serpent, but you also have the heart of a man, she told him. And even warriors need a guide. With her by his side, Teferi set out into the Shadow Grove, the cursed land where no villager had ever dared to step. The deeper they went, the colder the air became. The trees twisted unnaturally, their branches like grasping fingers. Strange whispers carried on the wind. And then, at last, they reached it. The Serpent Kingdom. A vast, ancient ruin, hidden beneath the roots of the world. The very ground pulsed with dark magic, and in the center of it all stood the Serpent Oracle. Waiting for him. The final confrontation. The Oracle's massive spectral form rose from the darkness, its golden eyes burning like the sun. You have returned, child of the betrayer. Teferi stepped forward, his heart steady. I have come to reclaim what was stolen. From the shadows, another figure emerged. Rezi. His massive serpent body gleamed in the darkness, but his eyes, his golden, sorrowful eyes, held something else. Regret. You should not have come here, Rezi said, his voice low. Teferi clenched his jaw. You took my mother. You let them take her soul. Rezi hesitated. Then, at last, he spoke the words that had been weighing on him for years. I loved your mother. Teferi's breath caught. I did not want to lose her. But I was bound by the laws of this realm. I was weak. I could not save her. Teferi felt his anger waver. Was it possible that Rezi had once been like him? A man trapped between two worlds. The oracle hissed in fury. Enough. The child's soul belongs to us. And with that, the ground trembled, and the serpent kingdom began to collapse, breaking the curse. The battle was not fought with weapons. It was fought with will. Teferi closed his eyes and reached deep within himself, calling upon the blood of both his mother and father, the blood of man and serpent alike. And when he opened his eyes, they glowed with golden fire. A powerful energy erupted from within him, shattering the serpent kingdom's chains. The oracle screamed in rage, its form breaking apart as Teferi's power overwhelmed it. Rezi, for the first time in his life, defied the oracle. "No more," he said. "Let the boy choose his own destiny." And with one final roar, Teferi shattered the ancient bond. Maya's soul, trapped for years, was freed. A blinding light filled the cavern, and for a moment, Teferi saw her, his mother, smiling at him. "You are everything I hoped you would be," she whispered. "Live, my son. Be free." And then, she was gone. At peace. Teferi collapsed to his knees, exhausted. The serpent kingdom crumbled into dust. The battle was over. The return of the king. When Teferi and Zola returned to Keboko, the village gathered in stunned silence. Teferi was no longer just a boy. He was a man who had defeated the serpent curse. Elder Tmu stepped forward, bowing his head in reverence. "You have done what no other could do," he said. "You have freed us from the darkness." And so, Teferi was named the rightful leader of Keboko. But he did not rule with greed or power. He ruled with wisdom and kindness, honoring both his mother's love and his father's sacrifice. The village of Keboko, once cursed, entered a golden age, flourishing under Teferi's guidance. And though the past was not forgotten, Teferi ensured that his people never again lived in fear of the serpents. For he was a child of both worlds. And he had chosen his own path. The legend lives on. Generations passed, and the story of Teferi, the boy who defied fate, became legend. Children whispered it at night. Elders spoke of it by the fire. And the mystic river, once feared, became a symbol of hope. For in its waters, they said, the spirit of Maya still watched over them. And her son, the king who had once been cursed, became the greatest ruler Keboko had ever known. The end.